Hi, I'm Julie. Welcome to Project Knit. This video is about how to pick up a dropped stitch. Now, when you're knitting, you do need to be regularly looking back to see if there's any errors in your knitting. And one way you can do that is by counting your stitches. So you could be looking at that and go, okay, I'm one short. Now on this one, we can quite clearly see what's happened here. Sometimes it's not quite so obvious. If the hoop's at the back or something like that, you might not notice it. So just keep a count of your stitches, either every row or every few rows, and just regularly look at your work and just make sure that it's how you'd expect it to be. Now on this one, we have got a dropped stitch. So we've lost a stitch right here. We can see it down here, and I'm going to show you how you can get that back onto your needle and carry on without having to just rip back those rows. What we're going to need to be able to do this, we've got obviously our work. We need a crochet hook. Now, ideally you want to be going for the same size as the yarn, but I don't think it's that important, to be honest. This one is 3.5mm, my needle is 5. They're not really that on, but if you've got a really chunky piece of yarn, you're probably going to want a bigger crochet needle. And then you need something to hold your stitch. Now I've got a stitch holder here, a small one. You could use a stitch marker, like one of those little paperclip looking type things. You could just use a safety pin, anything really that once you've picked it up, you don't want it to be running back down. So with the stocking stitch, we've got this V pattern throughout, and we can see here we've got a V and then we've got the loop, and behind it it's like this ladder. Now if you went further down, you'll have more to pick up from it, and it will continue to slip. So if you've missed it, potentially this will just continue to undo and you'll have more to pick up with it. So we take our crochet hook, you're going to put it through that stitch, going from front to back, and we're going to hook that onto that ladder behind it. So you saw where it was laddered, so we're going to put it through here and we're going to hook it onto this ladder here. We're going to pull this ladder through the stitch. So we're going to hook it on there. Get hold of that ladder behind it, and we're going to pull that through the stitch like so. So you can see that's created an next V. We've moved up one, we're coming up. Now if you've carried on knitting, it might be a little bit tighter here for the next one to go up, so you might just need to pull that apart a little bit. What some people will do is they will be at this part before they pull it up, so they will knit along here and they'll leave this open. But for me, I find that sometimes I'll just drop it down further. I find it a bit awkward to do it off of 2 needles, so I think it's really whatever works best for you. But yeah, for me, I prefer it to be on 1 needle. I prefer it to be at the end of a line. Plus, this is usually where I spot my mistakes. I don't normally find them halfway through a row. I normally find them at the end when I'm looking back on my work and going, oh, hang on, what's happened there? So again, we're just going to push the needle through that so that we've got an open stitch there. Behind it, we'll find that straight line, and we're going to pull that up. Now you can see there just trying to keep hold of that to show you, but you can see there that's the last one. When you pulled this up, it's bringing it up to on line with the needle, and you can see that just needs to now be on the needle. And what we don't want to do is drop it. If I drop it here, we'll just be back at square one. It will ladder back down and we'll be starting again. So this is where our stitch holder, safety pin, stitch marker, whatever you're using, comes in handy. We're literally just going to push that through needle. Excuse the helicopter flying over now. So we're just going to push that through like that to hold on to it. And then we're going to knit up to it. So you could just slip them over and slip them back, but you may as well just knit up to it if that's where we're at. So just going to knit these stitches. I always find it really awkward knitting over a table. Just going to keep going until we get to there. Where is it? Next one. So one more, and then you can see this stitch here needs to go onto that needle. So undo stitch holder. It's a new one, so it's a bit stiff. And then we're going to push that stitch onto the needle. Now it can be really easy to twist the stitch at this point. So what you want to be looking for is if you push the stitch, just stretch it down a little bit so you can see, you want the bigger, you want it to be leaning this way. Can you see that the one on the back just comes slightly further out than the one on the front? And what you want is that front one to be the one that is the leading stitch, if the leading side, if you like. So what I'm going to do is just switch that over, and then you can see it's much straighter on there. If it's leaning out at the back here, it just makes the stitch look twisted, so you'll see it later on, you'll see where the mistake was. So I just literally just turned it around, and then you can carry on knitting as normal. To the end of your row. Okay, and then you can see, you can't see where that was now. So that's how you pick up a drop stitch when you're in stocking stitch. If you want to see more tips like this, then don't forget to subscribe. I've also got some tutorials on my YouTube, and yeah, let me know what you think of this one in the comments. Thanks, bye.